Okay, in this video we are going to look at solving equations that involve variables on both sides. We will still be using our questions and we will start from the top. Do I need to clear fractions? In this case, there are no fractions. Second question, do I need to simplify one or both sides? This side, there are no like terms, there's no distribution, it's simplified. Same thing on the right-hand side. So I can skip down to, are there variables on both sides? And in this case, yes, there's a k on the left-hand side and a k on the right-hand side. So when that happens, we're either going to add or subtract the variable term to the left, which means we are trying to get the variable onto the left-hand side. So we're going to take care of the one that's on the right-hand side and try to get rid of it. So it's being subtracted. So we have a minus 3k here. So we are going to do the inverse operation, which is addition. So we're going to add 3k to both sides. On this side, the negative 3k and the positive 3k there will zero out, leaving us on the right-hand side just simply a negative 5. So we've gotten rid of the variable on the right-hand side and pushed it over to the left. 2k plus 3 is 5k minus 5. At this point, we now look at the left-hand side of the equation because this is where the variable is. Now all of these questions from then on are going to apply to the left-hand side. Do I need to add or subtract? So there's a constant term of negative 5, and yes, I need to get rid of that. So I'm going to do the inverse operation of add 5. So when I add 5 to both sides, on this side, I get that zeroing out, and on the right-hand side, I also get those zeroing out. So then my 5k comes down, and on this side, I'm going to get a 0. Every now and again, things will disappear on one side and we'll get a 0, and that's okay. We still don't have this variable k by itself, so we need to move on to the next question, which is, do I need to multiply or divide? What do I need to do to get that 5 away from that k? And what I need to do here is divide. They are multiplying, so I divide. They're multiplying by 5, so I divide by 5. So I'm going to divide both sides by 5. These will cancel out, leaving the k, and 0 divided by 5 is simply 0. In example 2, we are going to have what looks like a very long equation. Negative 4 plus 5v minus 4 plus 7 equals v plus 7 plus 8. So first off, we ask ourselves, are there any fractions here? And there are not. So do I need to clear fractions? No. Do I need to simplify one or both sides? I indeed do, because I have a lot of terms here that could be combined, more specifically the negative 4 here, this negative 4, and this positive 7. On the other side, I also have some constant terms that could be combined, the positive 7 and the positive 8. So once I do that, over here, the variable term is going to come first, then the constant term. Negative 4 and negative 4 make negative 8. Negative 8 plus 7 is negative 1. On this side, we have our variable term first, then our constant term. 7 plus 8 is 15. So now we have simplified both the left and the right-hand side. So now we can move on to the next question, which is, are there variables on both sides? And indeed, there are variables on both sides. So what we're going to do here is move the variable or get rid of the variable that's on the right-hand side. This is a positive 1v, so to get rid of that, I need to subtract v. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. These two guys should be the same. These two are going to zero out. A plus 1 and a minus 1 make 0. 5 minus 1 on the left-hand side is going to give us a 4v. Then we bring down our negative 1 or minus 1, and then we have our 15. So here we go back. Have we Are there variables on both sides? No, the variable is just on the left-hand side. So now this is the side that's going to tell us what needs to happen next. Do I need to add or subtract to get these numbers away from the variable? Yes. What I'm going to need to do is add 1 to both sides because addition is the inverse operation of subtraction. These guys are going to zero out. And then we're left with 4v is going to equal 16. Now we go to the next question, which is, do I need to multiply or divide? Yes, they are multiplying, so I am going to divide. I'm going to divide by exactly what is in front of the v. I will never divide by that variable in Algebra 1. You do not divide by variables in Algebra 1. So here our 4's are going to cancel out, leaving the v, and then 16 divided by 4 is 4. I'm going to need to turn the page for the next two examples. So this is going to be page 24. And this example is going to involve the distributive property. So we have 8 times 7n plus 6 minus 6 is going to equal negative 2n minus 16. So again, we go back to our questions. Do I need to clear fractions? No, I don't have any. Do I need to simplify one or both sides? Yes. On this side, I have to apply the distributive property. So I'm going to distribute that 8 to both of the terms inside the variable. 8 times 7n is 56n. 8 times 6 is 48. I bring down the subtract 6. On this side, I still have negative 2n minus 16. The right-hand side was already simplified. It's in as low as we can go. There are no like terms here. But on the other side, we do have these two like terms of a positive 48 and a negative 6. So to simplify those, we will end up with 56n plus 42. And that's going to equal negative 2n minus 16. So here we have both of our sides of the equal sign are simplified. So now we look to the third question. Are there variables on both sides? Indeed there are. So we want to get rid of the one that's on the right-hand side so that our variable is already on the left-hand side. So to do that, that's a negative 2n. Inverse operation would be positive or 2n. So we're going to add 2n to both sides, which is good because they equal each other. The negative n and the 2n on the right-hand side will zero out. So on the left-hand side, 56n plus 2n is 58n plus 42 equals, and since those made 0, we're going to get negative 16. Because the variable is on the left-hand side, that's where we're going to be looking now for what to do next. They are adding 42, so I will need to subtract the constant term. So I'm going to subtract 42 from both sides, because subtracting 42 is the inverse operation of addition, so that these two on the left-hand side will then zero out. I'm left with, on the left-hand side, 58n. And on the right-hand side, I'm left with negative 58. We are still not finished with our questions because we still have numbers over there with that letter. So there's 58 times n. Do I need to multiply or divide? Yes, because they are multiplying. I do the inverse operation, which is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 58. And 58 over here does equal this 58. These will cancel out, leaving an n, and negative 58 divided by positive 58 is simply negative 1. Okay, so that is example 3, and now on to example 4. We have negative 21 plus 3a is equal to negative 6 times 4 minus a. Okay, so we look here and we look to see if we have any fractions. In this case, we do not. So we're just going to move on to the next question, which is, do I need to simplify one or both sides? Well, on the left-hand side, it's already simplified. There are no like terms. However, on the right-hand side, I can distribute. So I'm going to distribute that. So the left-hand side just gets written down because we didn't need to make any changes there. But on this side, we're going to distribute. So negative 6 times 4 is negative 24. And negative 6 times negative a is positive 6a. Now both sides have been simplified. Now we can move on to solving. Are there variables on both sides? There are. So the one that we want to get rid of is the one on the right-hand side. And to get rid of a plus 6a, I'm going to subtract 6a. And what I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So on the right-hand side, these guys are going to zero out. On the left-hand side, I'm going to combine a positive 3a and a negative 6a to get negative 3a. And then on the right-hand side, we're left with negative 24. So now our variable is only on the left-hand side, so everything is going to apply to this left-hand side now. Do I need to add or subtract? Well, in this case, because of the negative 21, I need to perform that inverse, which is a positive 21. So I'm going to add 21 to both sides. On the left-hand side, the negative 21 and positive 21 will zero out, leaving negative 3a. And on the right-hand side, negative 24 and positive 21 will combine to give me negative 3. Now we go to the next question, which is, do I need to multiply or divide? Yes, there's a negative 3 in front of that a, so we are going to divide both sides by exactly what's in front of the variable. Not by the variable, just the number in front of the variable. So the negative 3's over here cancel, leaving a, and negative 3 divided by negative 3 is simply positive 1. So this has been 4 examples of variables on both sides and solving equations with those variables on both sides.